I think the biggest point that I would want to make, Jack, is that there's no such thing as meaningless games. Does not exist. It's not a thing in the NFL, a meaningless game.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Finish Strong Friday. It's a Picks Friday. It's a Winners Friday edition of the mighty RTFP, presented, of course, as always, by DraftKings. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. Most of you know that. I get a chance to call games now, television and radio. I'm doing a game for CBS this weekend. It'll be the Texans at the Titans. Very much looking forward to getting to Nashville for that one. Absolutely love Fridays because I give you guys a little bit of a pep talk. Now, I don't know how many of you are back at work, but for those of you that are back at work, probably just Thursday and Friday this week, a 2-day work week, finish strong. That's exactly what you guys should be able to do. You can do. Finish strong for your family like I'm trying to do on this episode right here. I'll give you my picks for each and every game. And this week, it's every game. There's no Thursday night game. There's no Monday night game. There's no Christmas games. Actually, there are 2 Saturday games, but we're going to be able to get to all of them here. And then if I remember, and I don't know if I did or not, I'll have winners at the end of the show. Those of you that spread the word via social media, at Ross Tucker Pod, or through me at Ross Tucker NFL, as well as those of you that take advantage of any of our sponsors. Love the code Ross on the Game Time app. Love westshorehome.com/Ross. You guys know that. Heck, any of the DraftKings codes that I talk about on the show, take advantage of them and then forward it to me, Ross at rosstucker.com. Love to send you guys some signed memorabilia. At any rate, it's big show time.
The Big Show.
All right, Ross. Usually here's where we talk about Thursday night, but there is no Thursday night game this week. So what are your overall thoughts going into Week 18?
I think the biggest point that I would want to make, Jack, and if we had a Labatt take this week, this would be my Labatt take, is that there's no such thing as meaningless games. Does not exist. It's not a thing in the NFL, a meaningless game. I understand what people mean when they say that. What they mean is a game of no playoff significance or a game that's of no consequence for the playoff seeding. Totally understand that. Totally respect that. Got it. Get it. But that's not the same as saying it's meaningless. I think a lot, Jack, about a lot of the quarterbacks we'll see this weekend, whether it's Tanner McKee for the Philadelphia Eagles or Carson Wentz for the Kansas City Chiefs or any of these guys, right? Either guy for the Titans that are supposedly going to play, Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. These games are not meaningless. Or for any of the backups that get the opportunity to start in these games or get a lot of playing time in these games, anytime you get any snaps or reps in a regular season NFL game in particular, where you're going against other players, it's a game that counts. This is not a preseason game. This will be in the standings, whether your team won or lost this game. I think it matters quite a bit how you perform. I think there are a lot of guys that understand that, and we'll see a bunch of them and see how they tear it up this weekend. I think there are, quite frankly, some that don't understand that, and they will be exposed and embarrassed as a result. So my big thing, here, what do we have this weekend, right? We have the game of the weekend is the Vikings and the Lions, which I think is especially interesting, Jack, because the winner kind of immediately becomes the favorite to win the Super Bowl from the NFC or to go to the Super Bowl from the NFC. The loser, they got to win 3 road playoff games, which is highly unlikely, like very hard to do. I mean, that's how big this Sunday night game is. It's, arguably the game of the year in the NFL because of the significance in that one. Meanwhile, the Denver Broncos win and you're in scenario, that's huge. And then there's a lot of these seeding games, which I think is really interesting to look at how different head coaches treat these situations, right? For example, Sean McVay, and we'll get to this in the individual games, but Sean McVay is not going to play Matthew Stafford. He's starting Jimmy Garoppolo. He doesn't care about the difference between the 3 and the 4 seed. Meanwhile, Dan Quinn's been very clear that he very much is going to go all out to get the 6th seed. So I just think there's a lot of interesting things. I think people understand the playoff implications. They understand what's going on with the seeding stuff, but I would just caution anyone to not use the meaningless category, because that couldn't be further from the case for every guy involved in these games.
Want to know which team is going to win every single game on Sunday? Then listen up.
All right, we're going to kick off the games with the Cleveland Browns, who are going to be at the Baltimore Ravens.
Right. I like the Ravens to win this one. I like the Ravens to win this one going away. I mean, come on, right? You're talking about a Browns team that has seen better days. And that's actually a good point, by the way. While we're recording this, the Ravens are 19-point favorites. I have never seen that before in my life in an NFL regular season game. I will not be taking the Browns as an underdog pick this week. I repeat, I will not be taking the Browns as an underdog pick this week. But I do think what's interesting to me about this game, talking about the whole meaningless thing, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, these games have mattered, and he has performed poorly. Dorian Thompson-Robinson has proven that he's not an NFL starter, probably not even a backup, maybe shouldn't even be in the league, right? So there's another opportunity for him. Meanwhile, the Ravens have just been electric. I mean, they've been fantastic their last few games. It's been awesome. I'm looking forward to watching them again. They are going into the postseason with a heck of a lot of momentum.
Do you have a score prediction there? Or were you just...
I do, yeah. Let's go 31-10 Ravens. Thank you, Jack.
Next up, we'll stay in the AFC North with the Bengals at the Steelers.
This is an interesting one because both teams, I think, should really be all out to win the game, right? I mean, no matter what anybody else says, obviously the Bengals need to win, and then they need a Broncos loss. And I think they need the Dolphins to lose too. But the Steelers, you should really want the 5 seed. Think about the difference right now with how the Texans and the Ravens are coming down the stretch. Ravens are the 3 seed, Texans are the 4. You get the 5 seed, Steelers are probably favored in a road playoff game, or the Chargers road playoff game at Houston, the way they're kind of limping down the stretch here. Meanwhile, for the Ravens, they're on fire. You're a heavy underdog if you have to play at Baltimore. So Steelers should be all out to just get the stink out of their mouth from these last few games, but B, give them a chance to win a playoff game for the first time in a long time under Mike Tomlin. I think this game ends up being a lot of fun. I think it's a shootout, but I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals to get the win. I think it's 27-24. Joe Burrow makes the plays necessary late.
Next, we got the Panthers traveling to Atlanta to play the Falcons.
Well, the Falcons, I'll be curious to see how they come out in this one, right? Because they're one of the teams that's probably down in the dumps after what happened last week with that golden opportunity against the Commanders to have the double-digit lead at halftime, to be able to control your fate, control your destiny, and then to let it all go bad the way it did. Obviously not a very good look for the Atlanta Falcons. Plus, I think the Carolina Panthers are looking to finish strong. This is a game that could go either way. Now, the Falcons, if they win and the Bucs lose, they still win the division. I don't see that happening. I don't see the Bucs losing to the Saints. And so I think this will be a really close game. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Carolina wins it. I do think Penix has played better. I'll go 23-20. the Atlanta Falcons get the win.
Next up, a Tucker Bowl. The Commanders at the Cowboys.
Love me some Tucker Bowls. We got a couple of those this week. And it's, the Commanders have said that they're all in for the 6th seed. Dan Quinn, their head coach, has been pretty clear about that, which makes sense to me, right? I mean, I think you'd rather not have to go to Philadelphia and face the Eagles for a third time if you're Washington. I think you'd much rather, play either the Rams or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Meanwhile, for the Cowboys, they've been playing pretty good ball up until that loss to the Eagles. I saw where Mike McCarthy didn't commit to Cooper Rush as the quarterback for this game. I'm not sure I really understand what that's all about, but I guess we'll see. I think the Commanders take care of business because they want that 6th seed. Let's say it's 24-16. The Commanders win. 24-16 Washington.
Next up, the Chicago Bears are at the Green Bay Packers.
Right. The Bears have lost 10 in a row. Incredibly disappointing way in which they have finished this season. It's hard to believe that they were almost 5-2, and then they haven't won since the Hail Maryland, the Fail Mary, whatever you want to call it. It's amazing how one play can just totally dismantle an entire season, all the hopes. I mean, Eberflus was getting ready to take the Bears to the playoffs. Instead, he got fired weeks ago. Meanwhile, for the Packers, they want to battle. They want to try to get that 6th seed, and they also, they have taken care of business against everybody that's not an elite team. I mean, their 5 losses are 2 to the Lions, 2 to the Vikings, and 1 to the Eagles. Let's go Packers 27, Bears 17.
Next up, the Jags are at the Indianapolis Colts, who have had a lot of stuff come out about Anthony Richardson recently.
Doesn't sound good with the disc stuff with his back. I mean, he's a kid that has to be a battering ram as a running back, for him to really have success. That's kind of what makes him special. I don't know how much of that the franchise knew or should have known coming out, but as a guy that's had disc issues, that doesn't sound really good to me. Meanwhile, for the Jaguars, such a disappointing season. I'm expecting them to clean house once the season is over, but I guess we'll see. I think ultimately, I guess I'll take the Colts, although I don't know. It kind of feels like last week was their last hurrah. In fact, I changed my mind. Let's go with an upset. Let's go with an underdog. I'm taking the Jaguars to win this game over the Colts, 23-20 Jacksonville.
Ross's Underdog of the Week.
Next, we have another Tucker Bowl, the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots.
And I have played, interestingly, I started multiple Washington-Dallas Tucker Bowls, and I started multiple Buffalo-New England Tucker Bowls. So I like it. This is maybe the most interesting game on the whole slate. The Bills are obviously playing their backups, but they still want to win the game. Meanwhile, for the Patriots, Alex Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator, has come out and said that Drake May is going to start and that they're playing to win, but you have to wonder on some level exactly what that means in terms of how long Drake May plays. I mean, you're a guy that loved the process for the Sixers, Jack. I can't imagine you'd be very excited about the Patriots winning this game if you're a Patriots fan.
No. This is the exact game you root the opposite way of.
I think it's fair. I really do. I don't like when people start to do that midway through the year or even with a couple games left. When it's the last game and you lose, you get the number 1 pick and what that means for your franchise. I am on board with fans wanting to secure the value that is created by that number 1 pick.
Did you have a score prediction there on what you thought that game would be?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough week, right? Let's say the Bills win, Trubisky time, 20-17 Bills, and Trubisky get the win. Playoff season is here, and the only thing better than game day predictions are the foods that come with them. Introducing Tums Fantasy Football Pool, brought to you by Tums, America's #1 antacid brand, and DraftKings. Each week leading up to the big game, turn football into foodball by building your best game day plate for a shot at winning a share of $40,000 in cash prizes. Inspired by game day bites and tailgate treats, join the Tums foodball action during this playoff season's most heartburn-inducing time. Visit DraftKings.com/Tums foodball between January 6th and February 9th to enter for free and select your game day plate before the start of each playoff round. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at DraftKings.com/Tums foodball. When you feel the heat of the game, don't let heartburn keep you on the sidelines. Try Tums Chewy Bites with a tasty outer shell and soft center for fast relief of heartburn, acid indigestion, and upset stomach. Check out Tums Gummy Bites featuring a soft and easy-to-chew format for fast relief of occasional heartburn, acid indigestion, sour stomach, and upset stomach. Both available at Amazon, Target, and other major retailers nationwide. And for more heartburn relief fun, be sure to follow Tums at Tums Official on Instagram and TikTok. Smirnoff knows there's no I in football. Football is a we thing, an experience best enjoyed together with good drinks and good folks. Smirnoff's the world's #1 vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. And this is a great week to enjoy some Smirnoff cocktails. It's New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Day. It's college football playoff. It's NFL Week 18. This holiday, when you're enjoying the game and your cocktails, please make sure to drink responsibly. Smirnoff, we do game days. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
All right, Ross. Next up, we got the Giants at the Eagles, which will feature a name you talked about a lot recently, Tanner McKee.
Yeah, even earlier in the show, and it's funny because Tanner McKee came out and he said kind of similar to what I said at the start of the show today about meaningless games, and to him it having a lot of meaning, you know, to get these valuable reps and snaps and to show what he can do at this level. I'm excited for him. It sounds like he'll probably start the game and get, you know, not many people can say they've ever thrown an NFL touchdown. He got the ball last week after A.J. Brown chucked it into the end zone. He also now will get a chance to start an NFL game. You know, those are major, major milestones that not that many people in life have ever really been able to accomplish. So I'm excited to see him play an entire game against the Giants. Should be interesting. Meanwhile, for the Giants, you know, for the Eagles, the thing that's always interesting to me about that, Jack, it's like who stays in the game the whole time, who doesn't. You know, you can only have 6 inactive guys. You know, there's only so many guys you can move up from the practice squad. There are some guys that are probably going to have to play a decent amount. I would imagine like Tyler Steen at right guard for the Eagles, even though he's kind of a quasi-starter. Meanwhile, for the Giants, you know, Brian Daboll and Drew Lock, especially Drew Lock, but even Brian Daboll, they really do not care about the draft pick. And I think that you can understand that, right? Drew Lock's probably not even going to be there, let alone care about the draft pick. Brian Daboll doesn't know if he's going to be there. He's showing everything he can to try to make sure he is there. So he wants to win. So Drew Lock, Malik Neighbors, they're going to come out firing. We'll see if any of these young pass rushers for the Eagles or any of the young corners can show that they're capable of maybe even helping this team in the postseason if they really show out in a game like this. I think it's a toss-up, Jack. I really do. You know, I do the Ross Report on social media, at Ross Tucker NFL. Could go either way. I'll say 24-23 Eagles just because I think Tanner McKee is going to play very well, but we'll see. I mean, it'd be a bad look for the Giants to lose to basically the Eagles' second string.
Next up, the New Orleans Saints. They're at the Bucs.
Right, and the Bucs are trying to do a couple things in this game, right? Not only are they trying to win, get to 10 wins, win the NFC South yet again. I think that'd be their 4th year in a row, which is super impressive, but also they are trying to continue that incredible streak for Mike Evans of 1,000-yard seasons, which is especially ridiculous this year because he missed several games. I mean, so to still get 1,000 this year for Mike Evans would be incredible. That guy's a Hall of Fame football player. For the Saints, I mean, obviously, we talked about it on yesterday's show, really, really tough week in the city of New Orleans. They've had a tough year. Just one of those teams where you're happy when it's over and that you can start looking ahead to next year. Obviously, the Saints need to hire a new head coach.
Game you might know a thing or two about. The Houston Texans are at the Tennessee Titans.
I feel like, Jack, you got to come up with a different segue. I feel like you say that every time. You say the exact same thing every. Yeah, but come up with something a little bit unique or clever or different. A game you might know a thing about. A game you might know a thing or two about. You say the same thing every game. Every time I'm doing the game, that's exactly what you say.
I know it. I'm trying to build I'm trying to think of an example. Like, there's always the Tucker Bowl. There's always All Right Ross. I don't know. I'm just trying to. Oh, okay. So you want that
here to be consistent. Okay. That's I like the consistency. Yeah. I can live with that. So, the Texans say they're going to play their starters. I'm very curious to see how long they play their starters. If they play them a lot, obviously they are not playing the way they wanted to, specifically in that Ravens game. I think it makes a lot of sense to come out. I don't care if they win or lose the game if you're the Texans, but you want to see your starters play really well in the first half. I should have said, by the way, Bucks 27, Saints 13. As for Tennessee, they're going to play multiple quarterbacks. We don't really know what the plan is for that, but that's fascinating if they rotate quarters or series or, heck, maybe they rotate plays. That'd be fascinating. Like, let's go high school style. But they're going to play multiple quarterbacks. They've said, they would like to end the season on a high note. So, especially in the first half, I think it's going to be extremely competitive. And even when, like Davis Mills, if and when he comes in for the Texans, he's pretty good too. So, I think I'll take the Titans to win, but I really don't know, given how much we don't know about how long the Texans are going to play their guys. I guess I'll say Titans 23-20, something like that.
Next up, the 49ers are at the Arizona Cardinals.
A game of no consequence other than, you don't want to finish last in your division. And if you're the Arizona Cardinals, I think they really want to be able to double up their win total from a year ago, get to 8-9. I think they especially would have wanted the winning season. But even just to go from 4 wins to 8 wins is a heck of an accomplishment and shows that they are on their way. For the Niners, just a disastrous throwaway of a season. I would expect them to bounce back next year big time. I'll take the Cardinals in this one, though. Not a ton of points. I think it's 20-17 Arizona.
Next, one of the more interesting games this weekend, the Kansas City Chiefs are at the Denver Broncos.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. I think the Broncos win. I think Carson Wentz comes out and does some positive things, but then turns the football over because that's what Carson Wentz does, right or wrong. And I think Denver gets to 10 wins, punches their playoff ticket. Let's say Denver wins the game 23-17 over the Chiefs. I still think it's a pretty good one.
Seahawks at the LA Rams.
Well, I love the Seahawks in this game because McVay makes it sound like he's not playing his guys, including Matthew Stafford, although Jimmy Garoppolo could easily come out and play really well in the game. I think the Seahawks, they want to get to 10-7. Geno Smith, they got that win against the Bears. I think the Seahawks win because the Rams sit a bunch of their guys, and I think it ends up being, 23-17. I think same score as the last game, 23-17 Seattle.
The LA Chargers, they are at the Las Vegas Raiders.
Right, Raiders have won 2 in a row. They're trying to finish strong by winning 3 in a row. Which would really be a feather in the cap of Antonio Pierce. I don't know if that's enough for him to keep his job or not, but that would be interesting. Meanwhile, for the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, if the Steelers win Saturday night, the Chargers are locked in to the 6th seed. So we'll have to see whether or not Harbaugh would still put Ladd McConkey out there or Justin Herbert. I certainly wouldn't. I would want those guys to be 100% or at least as healthy as possible for the playoffs. Because of that, I don't know. It's tough to know. It depends on whether the Bengals beat the Steelers or not. I guess I'm going to take the Raiders either way to win this game. 20-17 Raiders, but that's with an expectation that maybe Herbert and those guys don't play.
Miami Dolphins are at the New York Jets.
Yeah, I mean, just add the Jets to the list of teams with an absolutely disastrous season. Rodgers will throw a touchdown pass to Devontae Adams in this game, and I do have a lot of respect for Rodgers for finishing the season on the field. Meanwhile, for the Dolphins, no matter who the quarterback is, probably unlikely that they make the playoffs, but they got to play to win it because the Broncos might lose, and to get to 9-8 would be a nice accomplishment. Let's go 27-17 Dolphins.
And we'll wrap things up with the Minnesota Vikings at the Detroit Lions in the game of the week.
It is the game of the week, and it's presented by the Game Time app, which I love. Are you kidding me? I can't ever remember thinking of a game with this much Super Bowl significance during the regular season. The winner of this game is the favorite to go to the Super Bowl from the NFC. The loser of this game, boy, their odds go way down of getting to the Super Bowl, having to win 3 games on the road. This game is as important as any we've seen in the regular season in quite some time. We've never had this before. 2 14-win teams playing against each other. And as a result, Jack, there are a lot of people trying to get tickets to it on the Game Time app. The cheapest I'm seeing is $351. They've got good seats for $676, $828. You can see the all-in pricing. They give you a star for the Game Time picks. They do have the lowest price guarantee. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ROSS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account, redeem code ROSS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Speaking of guarantees, Jack, I am guaranteed to be back on Monday, breaking down all of these games for each and every one of you. I cannot wait. Make sure you subscribe if you don't already. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. By far the best Valentine's Day gift you could ever get a loved one. Your significant other is dying for a story from myfrontpagestory.com, whether they know it or not. Backofficescheduler.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, or Pizza Boy Brewing.